going to go. So I think the debate here this week in terms of the 9K and above range is, and it is this way every week. You're going to commit to the studs and duds, or you're going to go balanced. And when I look down at the lower range on DraftKings, I just can't bring myself to play too high up top. But I will say that if I were, my pick would be Webb Simpson. I was going to go Webb. But at the last minute, I'm deciding to go a little more balanced. I'm going to go with your boy Sung J M, who you talked about. Really love to see what he did last week. He's making his second appearance at YLI. And I love that, actually his third appearance at YLI. But I love how good he is on Bermuda. Sung Jae's playing so well on Bermuda. I love that he can get up and down if he needs to, because they're gonna miss more greens this week than we saw last week, right? So when you miss them, you better be able to get up and down. I'm playing Sung Jae. I'm playing Daniel Berger. It's brutal to see his Sunday. He just did not play well on Sunday at all, but wrote him up on the betting card as well, and he just fizzled on Sunday when he had a chance. But the ball striking was there. The play was there. Just didn't quite turn it up a notch on Sunday. But I think Berger on Bermuda, coastal course, it's the same story, second verse here in Hawaii for DB straight vibin is who Daniel Berger would be at 10,000. And then I'm going to go with the guy who was the chalk last week, and I happened to play him, and he happened to help me make some money on DraftKings, and that's Ryan Palmer, your 2010 Sony Open champion. That's right, 2010 Sony Open champion, $9,200, but you can't argue with how good Ryan Palmer has been playing. And he played well here last year with a T4 here at YLI. But I mean, he's striking the ball well. He's putting it well. I mean, just doing everything solid. And I think he's riding a different level of confidence, if you ask me. I mean, I think when you saw the runner-up at Memorial, you saw he had a pretty decent summer. 8th place at the RBC Heritage, which you could kind of compare to this place, coastal, not super long, grainy Bermuda. I think there's something to what Ryan Palmer's doing right now. 4th place last week, like I said, and a 4th at the Zozo. So back-to-back 4th place finishes. I really like Palmer here, and my fade is going to be last week's champ. And I hate to do it, but I'm going to fade Harris English. Now listen, he's playing unbelievable right now, but it is his first win in 7 years. I think it's a big monkey off his back. He's got to feel relieved, which is great. And I think that will have a long-lasting impact for him, and I think he's going to have a fantastic season, and I bet he could win again. But you're getting him now at a much higher price, 10-8 in this field. I don't know that I want to pay 10-8 for Harris English. There could be a little bit of a letdown here. I like the balance build. It's definitely more of a price and lineup structure play here with Harris English, but I will say his last top 10 here at the Sony Open was 2015. He was 13th out of 42 in strokes gained tee to green last week at the Century, but he was first in putting. He did all his damage with the putter, which is very typical Harris English. Now, it wasn't bad tee to green, obviously, top third of the field. But definitely if he has a letdown ball striking wise, the irons aren't going to blow you away. His irons aren't Colin Morikawa, Sung J M, Daniel Berger kind of irons. He does a lot of damage with the putter. He's making everything. So I think at 10-8, I think it's the wise play to go ahead and tell Harris English, see you later. So let's talk about the 8K range, 2 GPP plays and a fade. I'm going to go back to the well. I talked him up last week, and he didn't have a bad week, but I don't know. I'm going to go back with Kevin Kisner, our boy, at 8,800. When you look at Bermuda putters, he's third in this field over the last 36 rounds in putting on Bermuda. The iron play has been solid. The record here is also pretty good. I mean, T4 last year, T4 in 2017, T5 in 2016. He's on the record talking about how much he loves this place. We got to see him play Kapalua. We talked about the Kapalua storyline where guys who play the week before tend to do so much better here. You're going to hear that a ton all week from a bunch of people. I definitely want to lean on that a little bit. I'm not going to only play guys that played Kapalua, but I want to lean on that, and I like Kiss here, especially, again, with that balanced build. And then I'm going to go down to Lanto Griffin at 8,100. T7 here last year. This will be his third attempt at the Sony Open. But he actually had a good week last week. He kind of came back from a tough start, I believe, and ended up finishing T13 at the Century Tournament of Champions. But he checks a lot of boxes in terms of In terms of ball striking, great iron player, top 20 in the field, really, in opportunities gained and strokes gained approach. Putts really good on Bermuda. He's 7th in the field over the last 36 rounds, putting on Bermuda. So I'll go with a little Lonto Griffin. I think this feels like an event Lonto could win. And so I like the win equity there at 8,100. And I think he's probably going to be a nice pivot from the course horse at Waialae, which is Charles Howell III, right there at 8K. My fade here is going to be a first-timer who didn't play last week. So if you look at the trends, first-timers don't win here. Doesn't mean they can't do well, but they don't win. They don't win, and people who don't play Kapalua the week before don't win either. And that would be Erik van Rooyen. Here's the thing about Erik van Rooyen I looked at. I like Erik van Rooyen, handsome guy, tall drink of water, wears joggers. I'm all about that. South African, right? We all like the South Africans. I like Erik van Rooyen. Hits the ball a long way. Cool guy. But I had no idea just how lackluster his PGA Tour career has kind of been. He's played in 21 events. He only has 2 top 10s in 21 events. 2. Now he's got some top 20s, some top 25s. He played okay in a few majors, but 2 top 10s. And so that kind of upside for a guy who in the DFS streets is kind of a favorite. A lot of people like him. I'm going to pass on him, having never played here and did not play last week. So that's my fade.
Okay, well, one of our plays is definitely the same in this range, and that is Kiz. I love him this week. I think he's just a lock. I'm going to play him. If you play cash, I would play him there, but I love him in tournaments as well. So, and I think that price is perfect for him at 8,800. And look, I mean, like you said, this is just a perfect course for him. He loves it. I could see him easily winning this tournament. So I will play some Kiz. I like Zach Johnson. I was on him, I kept kind of trickling him in late last year, and he continued to play well, had a top 10 finish at the RSM Classic. He's at 8,500. I think this is a good course for him. I mean, you look at the stats, he's top 15 in approach. He's 10th in the field in par 4 scoring. He's 3rd in good drives gained. He putts well in Bermuda. I like Zach here, and I think this is a great spot for him. And I feel like his ownership is certainly going to be, not terribly high. My fade is actually Russell Henley at 8,700. You're going to fade the dog.
Bold fade there.
And I think, the stats are certainly going to line up for him. And he's been in relatively good form. The putting with him, everybody always just thinks of Russell Henley as being this great putter. And for the most part, he is. And Bermuda is his best surface. But if you just look at the last year, he has lost strokes putting even out of his last terrible. 10, it's been terrible. It's really been bad. So I don't see the win equity there with Russell Henley. I don't see the upside there. I think he's going to be higher owned than he probably should be. So he will be my fade in this range. So there you go.
All right, give me some 7K love. 3 GPP plays and a fade.
All right, well, I'll start with a former champion, 700, and that is Patton Kizzire. Now, he's a guy that we have seen play a lot better recently than he had over the last couple of years. Obviously, he won here. He was top 15 the year after he won here and then missed the cut last year. But I think Kizzire is kind of trending in the right direction. I think he's got the game turned around. He definitely checks the box in that par 5 scoring, which I mentioned. You've got to score well in these par 5s here. He's top 10 there. He's 2nd in the field in putting on Bermuda. So I think Kizzire is I like the way his game has been recently. So at 7,700, I will play him. I like Russell Knox also at 7,400. He is another guy that we have seen playing relatively well lately. You look at his last few events, he was, T23 at the OHL at Mayakoba, top 15 at the Houston Open, top 16 at Bermuda. He did miss the cut at the RSM, but for the most part, Knox has been on a pretty good run of recent form. I like that. And then also when you look at his stats as well, definitely checking some boxes there. He's top 30 in the field across the board in ball striking, approach, strokes gained around the green, top 10 in good drives gained. So I like some Russell Knox there at 7,400. And I like Chez Reavie also at 7,400. He's another guy that we've seen have some good success on this course. great ball striker, great on approach. Was it this tournament? Was it last year when he had 2 hole outs in 1 round? Like, it was crazy. Like, he had 3. And you're looking at it like something's wrong with the shot tracker here, but it wasn't. This is another just good course for Reeve, and I think you play him this week also at 7,400. So there you go. The fade for me is Leishman. I want to like Leishman so bad. I really do.
Your team course history too. His history's so good here.
I know, but you look across. I mean, look at his stats right now. They're terrible. And since the restart, he's been awful for the most part. I mean, he's 101st in ball striking, 96 in approach, 112th around the green, 111th in good drives gained. I mean, the guy's just not playing well right now. I mean, and he was playing so good at the early part of last year, but since the restart, pretty terrible. I will fade Mark Leishman at 7,900.
I will not say Cam Davis. I will not say Cam Davis. I will not say Cam Davis. I will not.
I knew you were going to say that. I even avoided talking about him.
I'm going to start off my 7K picks here with a guy that, everybody liked last week, and I think for good reason. Sebastian Munoz, $7,800, continues to play solid golf. Was last week maybe a little disappointing? I don't think so. I mean, T17, but not bad at all, I think, for Munoz. He's had some really good tournaments here in the fall, and really since the restart, he seems like a different player. You talk about Leishman being a different player in a bad way. I think Munoz has come out pretty good here in a good way. Ball striking is there. Everything is just solid across the board. Does well on Bermuda. Another player who's had some success on some coastal courses like this. I like playing the Kapalua angle from last week as well. Another guy who played Kapalua last week and didn't play as well, but that's Carlos Ortiz at 7,500. He finished 37th at the Tournament of Champions just last week. I don't love that. This is his 4th or 5th time at Waialae, and no great finishes to speak of. But I do think in terms of a GPP play, I think that's where Ortiz is going to come into play. Remember, Ortiz just won his first PGA Tour event back in the fall at the Houston Open, and then followed that up with an 8th place finish at Mayakoba, which is a very comparable course to here. And I'm believing in a little bit of confidence boost for Ortiz. And, if you look at good drives gained, he's 25th in this field. If you look at strokes gained around the green and putting on Bermuda, he ranks very high there as well. The irons are a little suspect, but I think this is a tournament play that I'm leaning into the trends of a guy who's not making his first appearance at the Sony, who just played Kapalua, and who can drive. Who's a good total driver of the golf ball, and coming off of a recent win. So that's kind of the angle for Ortiz, and I'm sure I would suspect he'd be somewhere like sub 8% in a lot of tournaments on DraftKings. Okay, for my third play in the 7K range, I am going to go with Sepp Straka. I'm going to go with Sepp Straka, UGA boy.
It took you a second for that to come out of your mouth. Were you on the fence there?
I had to bounce my eyes. To another location. Sepp coming in with some decent form, making cuts, top 5 finish at the Houston, T21 at Bermuda. So he's making cuts. He's playing well. He's trending nicely. I like that. But Sepp's a ball striker, and he this is his 3rd time playing here, but he checks a lot of boxes, man. I mean, he checks a ton of boxes. Where is he? I'll tell you the boxes he checks. Where the hell is
Get some boxes.
Here he is. Okay. The irons are just incredible. 8th in the field in strokes gained approach and 16th in opportunities gained over the last 24 rounds. I really like the upside for Sepp, $7,100, and this is long shot. This is a potential long shot, tournament here. I love that for Sepp. So those are my 3 tournament plays. I'm not going to say a bonus play. My fade is going to be a guy I didn't like last week, and it didn't hurt me that I didn't like him last week, and that's Jason Kokrak. Finished T35 at the Century Tournament of Champions last week.
He got up there for a little while.
It's a 4-day tournament, Pat. It's a 4-day tournament. This is only his this is his 5 attempts here. He's played here 5 times, but he hasn't played only once in the last 5 years. I was in 2018 where he finished T47. In his 5 attempts at Waialae, he is minus 12 strokes gained approach. So he doesn't hit his irons well at this place, doesn't enjoy the small greens, I'm guessing, or potentially the tighter fairways that require him to hit out of the rough. And last week at Kapalua, he is negative in every single category. Negative, every single category. Off the tee, approach, around the green, putting, the whole thing. And in the last 36 rounds on Bermuda, he is 105th in strokes gained putting. Kokrak does not like Bermuda grass. We did just see him break through his first win a few weeks back in the fall, but since then it hasn't been great. I think I'll pass on the name Jason Kokrak because I think he's still someone in DFS circles people want to play. By the way, just real quick, I'll throw this out there. If I were going to start a cash lineup, I like Sung Jae, Sebastian Munoz, and one person we've not talked about, Charles Howell III. I mean, 19 of 19 cuts he's made here. He's got like 2 runner-ups, 2 top 3s, 4 top 5. I mean, it's ridiculous. He loves his place, loves Waialae. It'll be interesting to see the ownership projections on him come Wednesday night, Thursday morning. He's definitely the chalk donkey of the week here at Waialae. But we love Charles. We love Charles. He's our boy. So this is his 20th appearance at Waialae. 20th. That's ridiculous. I'm trying to think of what I've done 20 times in my life. What have I done 20 times? Pat, I mean, like, have you gone to church 20 times in your life, or like, I don't know, read 20 books in your life?
I definitely haven't read 20 books. I've gone to church 20 times for sure.
All right, let's get to the 6K range. Any plays here that you like?
Yeah, there's a lot of plays that I like, and I will start.
Will you?
I got to start with my boy. I mean, in 2020, I loved him near the end of the year. In 2021, I'm going to ride him some more, and that is, who do you think it is?
Who we riding? Doug Gim.
Doug Gim.
Me too, man. I'm on the Gim train. I'm going to act like I was never not on the Gim train. I'm going to act like I have never said a harsh word about Doug Gim.
You were.
I love Doug Gim this week.
No, I've been lied to the people.
One.
You lied.
Since he came out during college, I've always loved Doug Gim. I'm like, man, that Doug Gim guy just looks like a golfer. You know, he's got a great haircut. All the stuff that makes up a great golfer. I've always said that about Doug Gim. And go ahead, Pat. You like him too?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if all that's true or not, but yeah, I mean, listen, Gim is a great player and been in fantastic form. When you look at the stats for him, I mean, he's right there in ball. He's top 10 in the 7th in good drives gained, top gambling. So I think that Gim is again a great play this week, as he has been all fall, and he's going to continue that for 2021. I like him a lot, so I will play him. I also like right there next to him, Peter Malnati at 6,900. He's another guy that's checking some boxes for me. When you look at approach, you look at par 4 scoring, he's number 1 in the field in putting on Bermuda. He has been in pretty good recent form as well, so I like some Peter Malnati there, right there at 6,900. I think that's a good price for him. And, you know, he's played here actually 5 times and had a top 15 last year. He was T12. A few years ago, he was T27. So he's had some success on this course. So for a cheap guy, I think he's got some upside also. And then going down to 6,400, a guy that has played here twice, finished T45 last year. He is checking some boxes as well. And that is Kramer Hickok.
Oh.
Kramer Hickok.
Okay.
No, I like him also. Checks the box on approach, ball striking, good drives gained. We've seen him have some good recent form as well in the fall. He's always seems to be pretty cheap and kind of pop. He might be a guy that could end up being like a first-round leader or something like that. But you look at his last couple events, had a T58 at Houston, had a top 10 at Bermuda. So, you know, a coastal course with some wind and whatever else, and a shorter course where we saw like Brian Gay win. I think all of Kramer Hickok could have a good week here at 6,400. You can take a flyer on them. So there you go. Those are my 3 GPP plays in the 6K range.
Couple of Texas Longhorns you got there. Well, actually, I had Gim written down. I also kind of had a little peek at Malnati, so I'm there with you. A lot of agreement here. I don't love this range, which really means that I'm going to have a lot of homework to do between now and Wednesday night or Thursday morning when I'm in the Nut Hut chat and the most popular effing Nut Hut question of all time comes up. Hey guys, who do you like under 7K? You know, and I got to have a better answer other than just saying Doug Gim. So I got to do some research. But other than Gim and Malnati, I'm kind of a sucker for Wesley Bryan down here. Super cheap, still playing on a major medical, needing to have some good finishes. This feels like a tournament, a golf course that could suit his play, his abilities. Not super long. He's pretty accurate. Good wedge player. Good putter. Had a top 10 in the fall. I think late in the fall. I'm not looking at it, but I think he had a top 10 late in the fall and followed that up with some missed cuts. But I think this could be a good event for him. He's played here 2 or 3 times, so he's one to interesting. And then Adam Schenk is down there as just a cut maker. The guy just seems to make a lot of cuts. Hasn't really come out with top 10s or anything like that consistently, but he seems to make a lot of cuts, especially in this weak field. Schenk may be a cut maker down there in the 6K, but that's all I got. I mean, Gim is my favorite, and then I did have Malnati, so that would be it for me.
Okay.
Listen, let's